Welcome back to Real-ationship Goals, a podcast all about exploring the realities and complexities of healthy relationships. Real-ationship Goals is a project of the Prevention and Education team at the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual violence or harassment and is seeking support services or needs more information, links to resources and our hotline number can be found in the description. The views expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and do not necessarily reflect those of their organizations or affiliates.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Real-ationship Goals. This is our first episode of season 9. And today I have a wonderful guest who is also my dear friend. I'll let him introduce himself.
Yes, thank y'all for having me. My name is Dominic Villa. I'm a longtime Wacoan, been here all my life, work in the nonprofit news field. I'm a photographer and videographer by trade, and most importantly, I'm a husband and a girl dad.
Yay. I also forgot to introduce myself. My name is Monica Davila, and I am the Prevention Community Organizer at the Advocacy Center. And so the reason I wanted to invite Dominic today to our podcast is because a big focus that we have in the prevention education department here at the Advocacy Center is mobilizing men and young boys as allies in this work. And like I said, Dominic is a very dear friend, and I think so highly of him. And I know that he holds his loved ones accountable. And so that is my reason for choosing him. I'm making a heart because I love him. Okay. We can dive right into the questions. And the first question that I have for you, Mr. Dominic, is when you hear the term or the phrase men as allies, what does that mean to you, specifically in this realm of violence prevention?
Yeah, for sure. Well, before I jump in there, I just want to give you your flowers and say I'm very appreciative of you. I'm very inspired by you. I'm very proud of you for doing this work in Waco. Being somebody that's from here, I think it's very important to have that representation to the people that you impact.
So you want me to cry?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well,
Okay.
as far as men as allies, I think it's something that's like ever ongoing for me.
Hmm.
And I think it's a um never-ending journey of trying to learn more.
Right.
As someone who's like not studying this realm of things, at least like in school, and didn't really get this much teaching. Um, for me, it's just like learning when to shut up and,
Oh.
and learning when to like listen more and understand that like some of the beliefs and some of the thoughts that I had growing up
Mm.
were completely wrong. And whether that's a like direct thought or indirect thought that may have been just like a bias or something. Now that I am a girl dad and now that I'm raising a young woman, there's so much stuff that I just didn't know. And as far as being an ally, I think it's really important to step out of the way a lot of times and also like keep my opinion second.
Okay. Yeah.
And so like for me, talking with other men is just like, all right, make sure that you're holding space. Um, I joke about that a little bit as
Yes, you
far as
did.
like holding space,
Like you
but
said that this morning.
but in serious conversations, just like understanding what whether it's my wife or my mother or like a friend who's a woman, just understanding like if I can get their perspective first and take their perspective with full respect and listen to that thoroughly, what ways can I learn?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the work that I've been doing and spreading that to my friends is just understanding that we don't always have the answer. We don't need to always have the answer. I think that as men it's very easy for us to always want to be in a position to figure things out,
Yeah.
but that's not always the role we need to be in.
No, yeah, that's beautiful. Do you think being a girl dad has impacted you a lot? I wouldn't say that's the start of your journey, probably not, but
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not because my foundation was set by my mom,
mm,
by my grandma, by my tia. Like without them three, I'd be a totally different person. And I was raised mostly in a house of women, so that's kind of the people that I always sort of surrounded myself with was women just to like it was comfortable for me. And I didn't really have that many father figures in my life.
mm,
At least not very like ones that I wanted to be like.
yeah.
But having a daughter was like a complete um just mind change of like, okay, I have to see things differently now. I have to not put everything that I know on her because it's not going to work the same way.
Mm.
Whether that's because of like society's views on things or whether that's like completely different. As you know, one thing that I'm so privileged to do is like get up in the morning and go for a run. And we had a mutual friend that shared their story of
Mm.
them not feeling safe doing the same thing.
Right.
And for me, I never even thought twice. Like I never even
I
thought
never
that.
even thought of that because that was so recent. And just to give a little context, we had a mutual friend who also goes on runs, just like Dom, and she was followed.
Mhm.
I didn't even think about that comparison.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
And just to specify, she goes on runs, I go on walks. So I'm not on the same level. But yeah, like her story, like when she shared that with us, like I was like, damn, that's something I don't really think about.
Yeah.
And I also don't think about people looking at me a certain way
Mm,
with ill intentions. And I also,
mm,
there's so much of a world that I don't even think about.
yeah.
And so I think that's like part of that ongoing journey that I was talking about.
Well, I love your little one, and she's so lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so my next question is, what do you think prevents boys and men from understanding their role in this work?
I think a lot of it is being cradled. I think that
Oh, that's so interesting to me.
a lot of young men, um, especially like coming from my experience of just being more of a Hispanic Latino household where we keep the young women accountable and not necessarily the boys, where it's like, okay, the boys can do whatever they want, but the girls have to do all these things, and they also have to dress a certain way, look a certain way, act a certain way.
Yeah.
But it's nothing similar to that for the boys sometimes, most of
Mm,
the time.
yeah.
Um, and also too, I think that a lot of on a macro level, like the society's views on things is like we allow so much from men, but if a woman was to do it, it'd be a completely different story.
Okay, you talking like a social worker. I know that's right. Okay. Wow. You had said something. I think it's so interesting having you on here because I also be thinking, I was raised with a lot of women. My dad, not in a negative way, but like he was very like passive. I think because he was also raised with women. And so I didn't have that, like macho man.
Hmm.
Um, but then I would go to my friend's house and it was like, you're right, like when her dad got home his dinner needed to be plated.
Yeah.
She needed to give him a kiss on the cheek, yada, yada. And that goes into like our culture too. That's a whole nother episode. So, anyways, okay. So, my third question, and you've been kind of bringing in your personal experience, and I kind of want to expand on that more, is what has been your experience trying to hold other men accountable in your life?
Yeah, it's definitely not always successful.
Right.
I think that naturally as human beings, people have a hard time understanding in points where they may be wrong.
Mhm.
And I think especially like from a man's perspective, um, letting a guy know that in the situation with women, he was in the wrong, sometimes it can be hard to hear that.
Yeah.
And I watched a video on TikTok one day. It's like, as a man, you never get dressed for the club and be like, oh man, I hope some woman don't mess my day up or mess my night up.
Yeah.
But like on the other side of that, I'm sure there are young women out there like, oh, I hope some dude don't act crazy or I hope some dude
Yeah.
don't be weird. So if I'm telling a guy like, hey, bro, the way you're moving is kind of weird.
Yeah.
The way you're approaching women is weird. Then it's like, not always the easiest conversation.
Have you had a success story?
So like thankfully, a lot of people that I surround myself with
Yes.
are not on weird timing.
Yeah,
So
okay.
like there are not many times where I've had to tell a close friend that they were moving in a different way.
Yeah.
But there are conversations that we have like where I think I have mentioned like when we watch a movie, um
You're that killjoy.
I try not to be a killjoy, but like they'll have an opinion and I'm like, man, think about why you have that opinion.
Yeah,
Like
good. Yes.
like
We talk about media literacy here a lot.
yeah, well, it was a specific situation like where it was a movie that recently came out that you and I both love, and there was a character in it, that one of the main characters that was their partner,
Okay.
but my friend was like, "Oh, that looks like his mom."
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
There's a lot of discourse on around that.
yeah. So like, then I was like, "Well, why do you think that? Like, why do you think that
Yeah.
this person who is maybe a different body shape different
Yes,
skin tone. Like, why is that person deemed as like a motherly figure instead of like,
a partner.
yeah,
Beautiful. And I'm gonna give context because I just want to make sure we're clear.
yeah,
We're talking about sinners.
sinners, yes.
And we're talking about, dang, what twin is that one?
Smoke,
Smoke
yeah,
with Annie.
smoke and yeah.
Yeah. I remember hearing about that. No, what a beautiful example. Okay. Dang, what question am I on? Okay, my fourth question. And it's kind of what I feel like you've already alluded to this a little bit of like what you do. But what are small everyday things that men can do to show up as allies? I know you said some things already that you've done, and I know I say this at work all the time. I feel like so often society is set up to like let men be harmful. Like we really let young boys fall through the
Mhm.
cracks. So I also want to give you your flowers there. But as a son, as a brother, as a partner, as a dad, a girl dad, all these things, what are some things that you would want other men to do um, as allies that you would love to see more of?
Yeah, for sure. I think I would love to see more of like men finding ways that we can tap into like some of the more masculine parts of being a man. Like
Mm,
I feel like for me, um, the manly things,
right, right,
the
right.
quotes is like for me, taking care of myself is one. For me, being aware of my 180 view of like when me and my wife are going out, me and my daughter are going out, I'm not only looking out for them, I'm looking out for other women, I'm looking out for other elderly people, looking out for
Right.
kids. I think that's our role as men um, to be vigilant and to be aware, while also understanding too that like we don't have to be the protector for everybody all the time because sometimes that could be a
Really draining.
complex. It could
Yeah.
be draining, but also be complex thinking that we have to protect everyone
Right.
when there are people, women, people in different communities that can protect themselves,
Yeah.
and we just have to be aware. I think aware is a very important thing. So taking care of yourself, being aware, and um, also just doing more education to understand what parts of your manhood have you been in the wrong, what parts in your boyhood were you preyed on,
Yeah.
what parts um what parts how are you in handling stories of like victimhood
Yeah.
versus like when you think that, oh, because it happened to me, I wasn't
And
a victim.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So like in what ways in your life were you like preyed on or were you a victim of?
Yes, we talk about that here a lot because I think so often, even just in this realm of work, it becomes so gendered where perpetrators are only seen as men and survivors are only seen as women, but men are also survivors.
Hmm.
Um, and there's also women who are perpetrators. And so I think so often, I know like being in the community work, I'll be out and I'll have a man come and talk to me about wanting to volunteer. And he's like, am I allowed? Like, am I going to make it an unsafe space? But I'm like,
Yeah,
wow, but like your presence would be so important for other survivors who are males.
for sure. And just to elaborate a little bit
Yes, tell me.
more, I think also too like living in your truth is also a big example for young men. I think like being very forward with some of your beliefs and protecting other people, or being very forward and like with my water bottle, you gave me that sticker that says I love
Yeah.
stamp, and like I get questions about it a lot. Yeah,
Really?
I
Oh,
do.
that's so
I get
kind.
questions about it a lot, and people bring it up, but like if we're living forward like that and we're like, this is what I believe in. I hate people who are I think being very clear, like I don't like men who abuse people. I
Yeah.
don't like men who prey on people. I think if we're um putting that type of vibe out first, then we're leading the example for young men to also not
Yeah.
be okay with that type of stuff.
Yeah, and speaking of that sticker, the I love consent sticker, I mean, we're out in public and people are like, what do you mean by that?
No.
What do you mean by that? And I think it's so interesting because a lot of people, I mean, consent, we practice that every day, whether it's like a hug, can I use your pen, yada yada. And so yeah, you're so right. Because then that also starts a conversation too.
Yeah.
So my last question is, if a young boy is listening right now, what is one message you'd want him to walk away with? Which I think you kind of talked about too. So I just wanted to ask that in case you wanted to add anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I think most importantly, it'll be just focusing on, um, taking a step back and thinking about the stuff that you're consuming. I think that now more than ever in this age, there's so much content that preys on you.
Mm.
And coming from a marketing background, I know some of the ins and outs that people use, keywords people use, even some of the algorithm that
Yeah, we were
people
just talking
tap
about that.
into.
We were talking about that yesterday. Ooh,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I think there's always been a wave of things for every generation. But I think now more than ever, people are just very blatant about it.
yeah,
And I think that people being lonely, people not having community, I think it's easier now more than ever to prey on people.
yeah,
So just being mindful of what you're taking in,
yeah,
and also being mindful of who those people are who are making it,
yeah.
because they may just be trying to make a dollar off of you.
Yep, I just made a post about rage baiting.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's a whole nother thing. Okay, talking about making a dollar. Okay, well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. In every episode, we have a relationship goal and a recommendation. And for this episode, I'm gonna have the relationship goal, and my friend Dominic is gonna share the recommendation. And my relationship goal is to check in with the boys and young men in your life. It may be that they're very, very busy with friends, sports, hobbies, and things of that sort, but check in with them to make sure that that space is good. Those spaces might be keeping him busy, but they might have harmful influences, and you might be able to catch them early and kind of steer them a different direction. And so that's my relationship goal. I will pass it off to Dominic to share the recommendation, which you kind of touched on a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, just be mindful of what you're consuming, and also you got to take care of yourself before you take care of other people.
Yeah. Snap, 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 snap. Well, thank y'all so much for joining us for another episode of Real-ationship Goals. It's been such a pleasure. If you are wanting to follow more of our or keep up with us, you can follow us at Advocacy Waco on Instagram and Facebook. If you want more prevention specific content, you can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention. Okay, bye, you guys. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Real-ationship Goals. This episode was produced by the Prevention and Education Department of the Advocacy Center for Crime Victims and Children in Waco, Texas. You can follow us on Instagram at ACCVC_prevention. See you next time.